Tonight, ahead of the 2023 general elections, President Buhari asks presidential candidates to shun incitement and commit to issue-based campaigns as the candidates sign a peace accord in Abuja. APC candidate Bola Tinubu absent at the event. Senate President Ahmed Lawan says he will not appeal the judgment nullifying his candidature for the Yobe North senatorial elections. A sigh of relief for Osun Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke as the Supreme Court dismisses a suit challenging the authenticity of his candidacy.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's all commodity terms of trade rises by 0.11% in the second quarter of the year on increases in prices of wood, paper-making material and miscellaneous manufactured articles.
And on sports news tonight, the coast is now clear for tomorrow's NFF elections in Benin City as Court of Appeals sets aside a Federal High Court ruling stopping the 78th General Assembly of the Nigeria Football Federation.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, President Muhammadu Buhari charges the judiciary to continue playing its role as honest arbiter at all times.
And in international news from London, Russia's Vladimir Putin will hold a signing ceremony on Friday, formally annexing 4 more areas of Ukraine.
24 hours after the lifting of the embargo on political campaigns, the presidential candidates of political parties gathered at the International Conference Center in Abuja to sign a peace accord agreeing to run an issue-based campaign devoid of personal attacks. One of the frontline candidates and presidential flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress, Chief Bola Tinubu, was however absent. But during the signing, supervised by the National Peace Committee, the chairman, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, warned that disinformation is already creating a toxic environment and asked politicians to caution their followers. Other members of the Peace Committee also harped on the need to have a peaceful election in 2023.
The chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, and other prominent members of the committee, including the chairman of the Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, arrived at the International Conference Center in Abuja for the signing of the first peace accord for the 2023 general elections by political party chairmen and their presidential candidates. The National Peace Committee first initiated the signing of a peace accord in 2015 and also in 2019 to make political parties and their candidates commit to peaceful general elections. As the countdown to the 2023 general elections begins with the campaigns, the National Peace Committee is rallying all 18 presidential candidates and their party chairmen to commit to issue-based campaigns devoid of fake news and disinformation, which they say is already a threat to the 2023 general elections.
Fake news and misinformation continue to pose a significant threat to 2023 general elections. We are calling on politicians to address issues that are fundamental to the Nigerian citizens.
The Independent National Electoral Commission will vigorously monitor compliance to ensure that parties shun abusive, intemperate, or slanderous language likely to provoke a breach of the peace during the electioneering campaigns.
In separate recorded messages, both President Buhari and former President Goodluck Jonathan urged politicians to raise the bar for a peaceful electioneering process in Nigeria.
I appeal to the contestants, especially their publicity agents and media advisors, to shun personal attacks and to commit to issue-based campaigns and political rallies.
In 2023, expect our country to raise the bar of credible and transparent elections and ensuring that our electoral processes are peaceful, free, and fair.
However, The Inspector General of Police warns against the deployment of personnel or state-owned security outfits for the campaigns and on the day of the elections.
There are currently not less than 88 different quasi-national security outfits established by state governments, local governments, as well as other non-state regulated security outfits across the country under various nomenclatures. Any attempt, therefore, by any political actor at any level to form or deploy such outfits to advance partisan interests will amount to an offense punishable under the Electoral Act.
Presidential candidates from the 18 political parties and their chairmen then take turns to sign the peace accord, symbolizing their consent to a peaceful electioneering process.
Chairman, National Rescue Movement.
While the signing of the peace accord is quite significant in the electioneering process, the onus now rests on the candidates and their supporters, who are expected to implement the spirit and letter of the signed document.
We think about Nigeria first, because we are all Nigerians, and that we ensure that it's an issue-based campaign.
At least one person must lead at the end of the day, so there's no point creating violence among ourselves just because of election.
It's barely 5 months to the general elections in 2023, and how this exercise turns out will, to a large extent, depend on the conduct of politicians and their supporters.
And after overseeing the signing of the peace accord, members of a committee headed to the State House where they met with President Buhari. But the president joined the committee in asking politicians to embrace peace, as he recalls how he also signed the same peace accord in 2015, a decision he says made a big difference in the outcome of that election. He commended members of the committee for playing a key role in ensuring a violence-free election in the country.
The timing of the first National Peace Accord is significant, considering political party campaigns have already commenced in the country. The initiatives undertaken by the National Peace Committee are commendable, as these efforts would ensure issue-based campaigns. I look forward to the second phase of the signing of National Peace Accord coming up in January 2023. You may recall that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and I signed the first National Peace Accord before the 2015 elections. It is my conviction that it contributed significantly to the peaceful outcome of the 2015 election. It is my hope that the National Peace Committee continues this important work post-2023. You are all aware that credible, free, and fair election can only be achieved in a peaceful environment. The signing of the Electoral Act 2021 as amended, with landmark provisions underline my resolve for transparent and all-inclusive electoral processes. It is my expectation that all the signatories to the peace accord and their supporters will abide by its content and spirit. I therefore urge all stakeholders to conduct themselves in a manner that will ensure the successful conduct of the general elections in 2023, as well as smooth transition from one democratically elected government to another.
Meanwhile, the European Union is equally concerned about the peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections in Nigeria, as it asks all players to work together for a successful one. For the EU, elections in Nigeria do matter, and the country cannot afford to undermine democratic principles as it goes into the elections. The EU ambassador to Nigeria, Samuel Isopi, was speaking earlier at the signing of the peace accord in Abuja.
As the largest democracy in Africa, Nigerian elections do matter, and not only for Nigeria. Nigeria's election will also be about the future of democracy in West Africa and the continent. This is why they are so important. Nigeria has an opportunity to lead, to contribute to reversing the trend of undemocratic change of power, and through its leadership, consolidate democracy in the region and beyond. As leaders of political parties and presidential candidates, you have a vital role to play in ensuring peaceful elections, in engaging in peaceful and issue-based campaigns, in taking a firm stance against violence, against hate speech, against misinformation and fake news.
And now to party politics. Disturbed by a purported letter written by the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the spokesperson of the party is distancing the party from it. Well, the letter is accusing the presidential candidate, Chief Bola Tinubu, of breaching the agreement with the National Working Committee with regards to the composition of a campaign council. But according to a statement from the APC's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Felix Morka, the letter, which he describes as a draft, did not emanate from the party, adding that an unsigned letter that marks itself as a draft cannot be attributed to its purported author. The counter-statement further says the national chairman of the party and the presidential candidate maintain cordial and effective communication channels and enjoy full liberty of open and frank conversations on matters of interest to the party and the presidential campaign. It described the letter in circulation as patently unnecessary and of no qualitative value of engagement between the party and the Presidential Campaign Council. Well, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, will not be appealing the judgment by the Federal High Court in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, which disqualified his candidature and participation in the 2023 National Assembly elections for Yobe North Senatorial District. A statement he personally signed reads in part, "After due consultations with my political associates, supporters and well-wishers, I have decided not to appeal against the judgment. I accept the judgment." He went on to say, "At this juncture, I deem it appropriate to thank His Excellency Senator Ibrahim Gaidam for the leadership role in the APC political family in Yobe State. I also thank His Excellency Governor Mai Mala Buni for the support and brotherhood. To my constituents, I thank you all for your unflinching support." And ruling on the matter on Wednesday, the presiding judge, Justice Fadima Murtala Aminu, nullified the parallel primary election that produced the Senate President Ahmed Lawan on June the 9th, 2022. She also ordered the APC to forward the name of Machina to INEC as the authentic winner of the primary held in May. According to the judge, the conditions for the validity of primary elections were fulfilled in the election of May the 28th, 2022, which produced the plaintiff. The phantom election of June the 9th, 2022, which produced the second defendant, according to her, was thereby declared invalid in view of the outline provision of the law of the very primary election. Well, in part two, after the break, leadership of the House of Representatives meets with the members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and representatives of the federal government in continuation of efforts to end the lingering strike by university lecturers. That's in a moment. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, President Muhammadu Buhari asks presidential candidates to shun incitement and commit to issue-based campaigns as the candidates sign a peace accord in Abuja. Presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, absent at the event. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan says he will not appeal the judgment nullifying his candidature for the Yobe North senatorial elections. A sigh of relief for Osun Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke as the Supreme Court dismisses a suit challenging the authenticity of his candidacy. Well, the Supreme Court has finally laid to rest the controversy surrounding the July 16th People's Democratic Party governorship primary election, as the Apex Court has now upheld the candidature of the Osun Governor-elect Senator Ademola Adeleke. The Apex Court also dismissed the suit instituted by Mr. Dotun Babayemi, a former governorship aspirant of the PDP in Osun State. The five-man panel, led by Justice Amina Oge, gave the judgment on the grounds that the court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the appeal, as the plaintiff filed his appeal out of time.
The courtroom is filled with every available space taken as the Supreme Court prepares to deliver judgment in a suit filed by a former governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party in Osun State, Mr. Dotun Babayemi, challenging the emergence of the governor-elect, Senator Ademola Adeleke, as the party's candidate for the July 16, 2022 governorship election in Osun State. At the resumed hearing, counsel to Mr. Babayemi sought to withdraw the earlier notice of appeal to replace it with a fresh application. However, the five-man panel of justices rejected the motion, citing Section 285, subsection 11 of the Constitution, which stipulated that an appeal on a pre-election matter must be filed within 14 days from the day of the decision, and that having filed the second appeal out of time, the Apex Court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the matter. Mr. Babayemi had asked the court to invalidate the party primary that produced the governor-elect, citing non-compliance with a court order.
They tried to appeal same before the Court of Appeal Abuja. The Court of Appeal Abuja dismissed their appeal on the ground that they had the lack local standard to even bring the appeal in the first instance, and also there is an abuse of court process. So we have judgments to the fact Adeleke is the authentic governor-elect and governor of Osun State come 27th of November 2022.
The court premises was thrown into a frenzy as supporters of the governor-elect celebrate the decision of the Apex Court. However, the attention of the party will now move to the election tribunal.
And now to Labour matters. The leadership of the House of Representatives today stepped up its efforts to end the ASU strike with another meeting with the Academic Staff Union of Universities and government representatives. The Speaker of the House informed ASU that the white paper on a revitalization fund has been received and is awaiting the President's approval. Also, the head of service of the Federation raised concerns over what she described as rampant employment in universities, which she says is a burden for the government, which has been borrowing to pay salaries. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The leadership of the House of Representatives met with concerned parties regarding the ASU strike with a view to ensuring that students in tertiary institutions resume academic activities as soon as possible. One of the issues in contention is the payment system for universities.
Is there any country in the world where salaries for lecturers are paid from the office of Accountant General? Where is the idea of the law? Let me be patriotic to Nigeria. Are they using the central bank? Are they not peculiar? They don't have law? Are they using it either?
You see, one of the risks in thinking of even adopting UTEX is that if you do this, you are going to create a room for everybody to now come to say, you know what, we're also unique, give us our own. Mr. Speaker, as we speak now in the university environment, we already have two.
There are three applications. If the end of the test says that TAS or U3PS is the superior one, government should adopt that one. We are vehemently opposed to multiple applications because all that it will do is, worsen our already bad fiscal situation.
As far as university payment is concerned, the three solutions have failed our test because that is what we tested.
As the meeting progresses, a comment from the Minister of Labour leads to a slightly rowdy session.
Mr. Speaker, it's jocular, but it's still serious.
That what?
That the ASU president said that APC government have kept children at home, and that Nigerian people should vote out people who are kept their children at home.
No, he didn't say that.
What did he say?
We're making progress.
Mr. Speaker,
after Adogotobi, you get the opportunity. You get the opportunity after Adogotobi.
Amid the rowdy session, the Minister of Labour excuses himself with the permission of the Speaker. When the dust settles, the head of service comments on what she describes as rampant employment in the universities, while the Speaker appeals to ASU for a compromise.
The DG budget is always sitting on my head when it is time to pay salaries because they keep borrowing to pay salaries. The bulk of the personnel cost that government pays goes to tertiary institutions.
The white paper we told you we'll get, the letter is here. I just showed it. I just waved it. It's now waiting for President's final approval on the revitalization fund. If this is the enabling environment you're trying to get to and you're here, and you cannot get to here now, but you can get to here now, to the middle, let's take it and continue to work towards getting to that final destination.
The leadership of the House is hopeful that this may be the final meeting on the ASU strike before meeting the President, and appeals to ASU and the government to accept the outcome for the benefit of Nigerian students. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Well, Terry Ikumi is not done just yet. Let's head over to our Abuja studio where he's standing by with more stories on the news at 10. Hello, Terry.
Hello, Kayode. Now, one of the requirements for nation building is having strong institutions, and it's in line with this that the judiciary is being strengthened to fulfill its constitutional responsibilities. Today, the nation witnessed the commissioning of the complex for the body of benches in Abuja, where President Muhammadu Buhari asked the judiciary to maintain its position as an honest arbiter. Our correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrives the venue of the commissioning ceremony in Abuja. And straight away, he goes on to perform the ceremony. Inside the hall, very senior legal practitioners have converged to witness the occasion.
Thank you. May be seated.
The complex is a dream conceived 30 years ago, and according to the chairman of the body of benchers, Chief Wole Olanipekun, many sacrifices have been made to ensure the realization of the facility, including the donation of 500 million naira by Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. He also makes a case for the independence of the judiciary.
A democratic government like the one we operate, standing on a tripod comprising the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, cannot stand where one of its three pillars, that is the judiciary, is not properly nurtured, maintained, and sustained to deliver on its very pivotal constitutional duties.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, and the Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, commend the initiative.
The realization of this dream is indeed a big boost to the entire legal profession in Nigeria. The monument will no doubt change the landscape and ease the call to bar ceremonies and other very important activities of the body of benchers.
We cannot afford to lower the bar in terms of good character and sound learning if we must retain public confidence. I have implicit confidence in the present leadership of the body of benchers that it will pursue the path of resorting professionalism with full vigor.
It's the turn of President Muhammadu Buhari to give his speech, and he makes no haste to restate his administration's commitment to upholding the rule of law and improving the well-being of judicial officers.
As I have always maintained, adherence to the rule of law is critical to the progress of any society, and this administration has not relented in its commitment to this ideal.
However, it challenges the judiciary to remain an honest arbiter, especially as the 2023 general election approaches.
The significance of the legal profession becomes even more pronounced, considering the vital roles you play in the electioneering process, both at the pre- and post-election stages. I hope you maintain the position of an honest arbiter.
The body of benches complex consists of a 3,000-seating capacity auditorium, a 240-seating capacity meeting room, 1,000-seating capacity banquet hall, and a courtroom for the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, amongst others. Emperor Simon, Channels Television.
The outgoing chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, says the forum is not in support of the current privatization process of the power plants in the country, as the interest of the states who have the equity in them is not protected. Speaking at a briefing after the new secretariat complex of the forum was commissioned by Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Mr. Fayemi says the governors are not against privatization of the power plants, but the process must be transparent and all-inclusive. The forum is also resolved to have a strong delegation of its members meet with President Muhammadu Buhari on the recent flood disasters across the country to seek lasting solutions to resolving the issue.
Let me say categorically that governors are not averse to privatization per se. That's not the issue. We are concerned about the process involved in the current attempt to privatize the plans. And once we are clear about that process and we see that it is transparent, it is equitable, it is fair to all parties concerned, don't forget, we have a certain percentage of that shareholding as states and local governments. So that is the critical point here. You can't shave my head in my absence. You really must have me at the table when you want to do something of that nature. That's why we're a federation.
Now, it would seem help is finally on the way for residents of Delta State who have been displaced by floods, as the Delta State government is promising to evacuate them to internally displaced camps. The Director General of the State Orientation Bureau, Eugene Uzum, made this known during an exercise aimed at convincing people living in the lowlands to move to the upperlands or to relieve camps to prevent loss of lives and property occasioned by flooding.
The Services Agency had warned some states on the possibility of massive flooding and the need to prepare in order to prevent huge losses of property and lives. Oko community in Oshimiri South local government area of Delta State is one of such communities with recurring flooding. This year, some of the residents are moving to this makeshift camp to avoid massive flooding in the community.
When I tell government, I need help. One, this environment, my children now don't get anywhere to stay. Until now, hungry they catch me. As you see me, so I get better. Now, my house, I don't go fix water. They reach me here. Now, I need help.
As part of efforts to cushion the effect of this year's flooding, the Orientation Bureau set out to make residents aware of the government's plan. The Director General and his team meander through the flooded area to reach the people, assuring them of relief and safety till the area becomes habitable.
The challenges we face on this job is most times the people they are misinformed. For instance, we've had a situation where we got to a community and we were turned back. They said their gods were angry. So we had to tell them that it had nothing to do with traditional beliefs. We now had to explain what the problem is. Global warming, the dams being opened, and all of that. And at the end of the day, they accepted our message, and we also told them in turn that they had to leave. In fact, they had to harvest their crops early enough so that it's not total devastation, and then move to safer places.
There is no loss of life, but the setting up of IDP camps will go a long way towards helping keep this in check.
The camps are going to be dotted across the state because from the flashpoint areas, we have Isoko North and South, we have Oshimili North and South, we have Anyocha North and South, we have Patani, we have Ugeli Axis, we have Ika North East, we have Ndokwa East and West, and particularly we have the Burutu Bomadi Patani Axis. So it's quite massive.
With some of the residents already indicating an interest in relocating, the state government is expressing its willingness to provide safer areas for them, provide welfare services, and also ensure adequate security, pending a safe time for them to return to their homes.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to you, Coyote.
Well, thanks a lot, Terry. And now to a profitable side of water. Nigeria's efforts to make its maritime industry go green formed the basis of this year's World Maritime Day in Lagos today. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, and other speakers at the event speak on how Nigeria can leverage on technology to achieve greener shipping.
New technologies for greener shipping. That's the chosen theme to celebrate the 2022 World Maritime Day, with focused attention on the importance of shipping and other maritime activities. The theme turns the spotlight on the role of emerging technologies to support a green transition of the maritime sector into a sustainable future, with the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Abubakar, says aligns with President Muhammadu Buhari's vision on clean energy.
The theme is apt, is in tandem with Mr. President's vision for net zero, meaning we intend to eliminate as much as we can greenhouse gas emissions, and then transit in the next 15 years from fossil fuel to renewables. And there is no such industry that is key to achieving this milestone than the Ministry of Transportation and its agencies.
The host, who is the Federal Minister of Transportation, restates his commitment to achieve greener shipping in line with the International Maritime Organization campaign.
This partnership must be cultivated globally and nationally. For us as a nation, the entire maritime community has a role to play in bringing about a greener and sustainable maritime industry in the areas of resource mobilization, maritime training, awareness, job creation, and full implementation of maritime laws and regulations.
This year's theme is linked to specific aspects of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 9, 13, 14, and 17 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, climate action, and sustainable use of the oceans, seas, and marine resources, and the importance of partnerships and implementation to achieve these goals. At a time when the world is moving towards greener shipping, these stakeholders are determined to ensure that Nigeria's maritime sector is not left behind.
Some company news. Power Oil, one of the popular brands of healthy vegetable cooking oil, is celebrating World Heart Day by encouraging physical fitness amongst individuals. The company took the campaign to the streets today to demonstrate why regular exercise is important in achieving optimal health and preventing cardiovascular illnesses such as heart disease, stroke, and other related diseases.
These are not your regular exercise junkies. 51, 52, 53. They're everyday people caught in the awareness bubble being created by Power Oil on the importance of exercise as it joins the celebration of World Heart Day. Today, the company pitched its tent along the Lekki Expressway, Etiosa local government area of Lagos State, engaging passers-by on the importance of physical fitness, especially the type that keeps the heart healthy. And for their efforts, they get a souvenir. It's not every day they come across this kind of event, but they welcome the challenge.
I have not been doing it for some times, but today, when I try it again, in fact, I have more strength, and this will keep me going. So I encourage everyone to go on a road walk to exercise his body.
While no one is left out of this exercise, it's another opportunity to educate mothers on providing healthy nutrition for their families.
I've seen this Power Oil here. I used to use it at home. It's very good for the health and it's good for the exercise that they bring out today. And the exercise I do is very good for my body. And every day I even climb the bridge every day. It's part of exercise.
And there's more advice from the company, this time to the general public.
We're telling Nigerians to use the pedestrian bridge. Avoid crossing the road, not just because of it's risky, but also because you need to exercise. Why are you exercising? Because you need to work out your heart. So many people die of hypertension. There's so many diseases today that is being caused by ignoring, exercise. Every single day, your body is just supposed to have a minimum of 30 minutes workout. We stand for you to use the healthy cooking oil, which is Power Oil, the healthy choice, instead of using unbranded oil. We all know that unbranded oil has high cholesterol, and we are here today trying to encourage Nigerians to avoid anything that would give them high cholesterol.
Living healthy is a lifestyle choice that Power Oil wants everyone to adopt by exercising regularly and using a heart-friendly cooking oil like the Power Oil brand.
Now, giving back to clients and business partners is one way to sustain relationships for organizations, and that is why Total Energies Nigeria Limited is rewarding loyal customers with various gifts in its mega promo, with a grand prize of a brand new car going to the overall winner of the raffle draw. The event was organized by the company at its head office in Lagos today.
Customer appreciation provides companies the opportunity at client retention and market share domination. That is why for Total Energies Marketing Nigeria Limited, the past months have been focused on showing appreciation to customers through its Quartz Mega Promo. When customers purchase the 4 liters of 5 liters engine lubricant from any Total Energies service station or authorized distributor, they get the opportunity to get into a draw to win gifts.
Jugbele Agnes. Jugbele Agnes.
With 10 categories and a total of 80 gifts up for grabs, 4 customers were drawn from a raffle draw to win refrigerators, sound bars, free fuel worth 120,000 naira, oil change worth 100,000 naira, and a grand prize of a brand new car. The organization shares its reason for the promo.
We believe that this is something that we want to reward back to our customers because they have continued over the years to patronize us, to put us in a position whereby we are a market leader in the sale of lubricants across the country. So we feel it's only right, and as my colleagues have already said, to continue to recognize and reward that customer base.
Beyond the benefit that the customer has enjoyed or benefited from the attributes of our lubricants, it's a way of also appreciating them for their patronage, a way of saying thank you, because for us in Total Energies, we are with our customers all the way. Every opportunity to touch their lives, we're there with them.
For the regulators, the outcome of the draw speaks to the transparency of the process.
I want to commend the organizer of this promo, because from the start of the promo we have been informed as a regulatory body and we monitor every aspect of the promo, and I want to commend them for making it transparent, fair, and every other thing. They have done really good.
The campaign, which ran from July the 1st, 2022 to September the 1st, 2022, produced 40 winners with 1 grand prize winner and demonstrates Total Energies Marketing Nigeria Limited's way of showing deep appreciation to loyal customers.
Well, let's now bring you more on our lead story as the presidential candidates of the political parties gathered at the International Conference Center in Abuja today to sign a peace pact, agreeing to run an issue-based campaign devoid of personal attacks. However, one of the frontline candidates and presidential flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress, Chief Bola Tinubu, was absent.
The chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, and other prominent members of the committee, including the Sultan of Sokoto, the convener, Bishop Hassan Kuka, arrived at the International Conference Center in Abuja for the signing of the first peace accord for the 2023 general elections by political parties, chairmen, and their presidential candidates. The National Peace Committee first initiated the signing of a peace accord in 2015 and also in 2019 to make political parties and their candidates commit to peaceful general elections. As the countdown to the 2023 general elections begins with the campaigns, the National Peace Committee is rallying all 18 presidential candidates and their party chairmen to commit to issue-based campaigns devoid of fake news and disinformation, which they say is already a threat to the 2023 general elections.
Fake news and misinformation continue to pose a significant threat to 2023 general elections. We are calling on politicians to address issues that are fundamental to the Nigerian citizens.
The Independent National Electoral Commission will vigorously monitor compliance to ensure that parties shun abusive, intemperate, or slanderous language likely to provoke a breach of the peace during the electioneering campaigns.
In separate recorded messages, both President Buhari and former President Goodluck Jonathan urged politicians to raise the bar for a peaceful electioneering process in Nigeria.
I appeal to the contestants, especially their publicity agents and media advisors, to shun personal attacks and to commit to issue-based campaigns and political rallies.
In 2023, expect our country to raise the bar of credible and transparent elections and ensuring that our electoral processes are peaceful, free, and fair.
However, the Inspector General of Police warns against the deployment of personnel or state-owned security outfits for the campaigns and on the day of the elections.
There are currently not less than 88 different quasi-national security outfits established by state governments, local governments, as well as other non-state regulated pseudo security outfits across the country under various nomenclatures. Any attempt, therefore, by any political actor at any level to form or deploy such outfits to advance partisan interests will amount to an offense punishable under the Electoral Act.
Presidential candidates from the 18 political parties and their chairmen then take turns to sign the peace accord, symbolizing their consent to a peaceful electioneering process.
Chairman, National Rescue Movement.
While the signing of the peace accord is quite significant in the electioneering process, the onus now rests on the candidates and their supporters who are expected to implement the spirit and letter of the signed documents.
We think about Nigeria first, because we are all Nigerians, and that we ensure that it's an issue-based campaign.
At least one person must lead at the end of the day, so there's no point creating violence among ourselves just because of election.
It's barely 5 months to the general elections in 2023, and how this exercise turns out will, to a large extent, depend on the conduct of politicians and their supporters.
Well, let's switch gears now. It's time for business news on the news at 10 with Teniola Oitayo.
Thanks a lot, Kayode. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's all commodity terms of trade rose quarter-on-quarter by 0.11% in the second quarter of the year against the minus 14% decline recorded in the first quarter. And that's according to the latest data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. At the same time, the All Commodity Group Export Index increased averagely by 0.18% between April and June, while the All Commodity Group Import Index increased by 0.07% within the period under review. Let's check in on the stock markets now. John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, the total market value of the NGX lost 112 billion naira. As we see the all-share index lose that 49,000 points and now at 48,964.83. And then we see it at 0.42%, down almost 0.5% at the close of trade today. Market cap still struggling with the 26 trillion naira, and so it's no doubt that the bear is here. We see a surge in volume. It went about 100% more than yesterday. There you have it, volume at 221 million, almost half of this is what we had yesterday. Value 2.3 billion. That's about 80% more than what we have. And then we see the introduction of that bloodbath in the deals in the red, 3,195. But the bloodbath is very obvious when we look at the sectors. And when we look at the sectors, we go straight to the consumer goods and we see that's where it actually is. It's down 3.22% at the close of trade today. Banking not looking so bad, but still in the red, 0.15%, as well as oil and gas. Well, any little relief the market had yesterday has been overtaken by profit taking. And we're wondering, are investors reacting to the MPC decision? Are they moving to the fixed income space? We will watch and see. That's a stock market report. I'm John Mekwa. It's back to you.
And that's Business News. It's back to Kayode.
Well, thank you, Teniola. Now for the latest international news, here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Russia's Vladimir Putin will hold a signing ceremony on Friday, formally annexing 4 more areas of Ukraine after conducting self-styled referendums condemned by Ukraine and the West as a sham. A stage has already been set up in Moscow's Red Square, with billboards proclaiming the 4 regions as part of Russia. Russian-backed officials had earlier claimed the 5-day exercise had secured almost total support from those who took part, although no independent monitoring took place. So-called votes were held in 2 eastern regions, Luhansk and Donetsk, and in Zaporizhia and Kherson in the south. Sweden has found a new leak in a major undersea pipeline carrying Russian natural gas to the EU, making it the 4th discovered so far this week. Denmark and Sweden reported gas leaks in the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines earlier this week. NATO said the incidents were the result of deliberate, reckless and irresponsible acts of sabotage. Russia dismissed suggestions that it had attacked its own pipelines as predictable and stupid. One of the most dangerous storms to hit the U.S. in years has left 2.4 million homes and businesses in Florida without power and floodwaters surging inland. Hurricane Ian smashed into the coast with wind speeds of up to 241 kilometers an hour. This security camera video showed the winds pounding Florida's Atlantic coast city of Daytona Beach. In Fort Myers, floodwaters swept through the streets, nearly reaching up to the 2nd floor of some buildings. And here in the Naples Bayfront, with floodwaters sending boats and debris down the Gordon River. The Category 4 hurricane was later downgraded to a tropical storm. However, Floridians were warned that the most dangerous 24 hours lay ahead.
The storm is incredibly dangerous, to state the obvious. It's life-threatening. You should obey all warnings and directions from emergency officials. Don't take anything for granted. Use their judgment, not yours. Evacuate when ordered. Be prepared. storm warnings are real, the evacuation notices are real, the danger is real, and when the storm passes, the federal government's going to be there to help you recover.
Here, views of Ian from the International Space Station showing the scale of the storm. Ian is now continuing to move north through Florida. It is expected to reach Georgia and South Carolina on Friday. US and South Korean military vessels led by the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier have participated in naval exercises off South Korea's eastern coast. The US warship and vessels from its accompanying strike group arrived in South Korea last week for the first time in about 4 years for joint drills with the South in a show of force intended to send a message to North Korea. The drills came as US Vice President Kamala Harris arrived in South Korea for a visit amid simmering regional tensions over North Korea's missile launches and China's actions in the Taiwan Strait. The plight of women in Iran was on the minds of some of the world's most influential women as they walked the red carpet at Variety's Power of Women event. Hillary and Chelsea Clinton, Oprah Winfrey and Ava DuVernay led the honorees at the annual gathering in Beverly Hills in California, joined by key female role models including Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai. The event is held to mark the achievements of women across society, including politics, entertainment and philanthropy. It comes amid protests and demonstrations around the world, following the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died while being held in police detention in Iran for not following headscarf laws. And finally, luxury car company Porsche has been valued at 75 billion euros or $72 billion in Germany's second biggest market debut ever. Defying volatile markets, the sports car brand was priced by Volkswagen at the top end of the indicated range, raising 19.5 billion euros from the flotation to fund the group's electrification drive. Porsche AG stock was trading up 3% from the issue price. Porsche AG's chief executive, Oliver Blume, hailed the listing as a historic moment as he hugged colleagues and rang the bell on a packed Frankfurt Stock Exchange trading floor. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. All is now set for the 78th Annual General Assembly of the Nigeria Football Federation that will usher in new executives of the country's football ruling board as the Court of Appeal has set aside the ruling by the Federal High Court stopping the conduct of elections. With the ruling by the appeal court, the coast is now clear for an interesting contest for the NFF presidency by 10 candidates and a dozen other notable persons jostling for seats on the executive committee. Well, the elections will commence after other items on the agenda for the General Assembly have been dealt with. The winners will be sworn in immediately after the elections. And that's sports news. It's back to you, Kai.
Well, thanks a lot, Ayotunde. And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari today asked presidential candidates taking part in the 2020 elections to shun incitement and commit to issue-based campaigns. As the candidate signed a peace accord in Abuja, the candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, absent at the event. And that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okechukwu. Good night.